Hello, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly episode. It is episode number 186, and it's September the 27th, 2022. So let's get right into my current projects, shall we? So here you go. You can see this is an applique block. This is the first block in the Block of the Month class that I'm taking with Donna, the hostess with the mostest from Ultimate Sewing. This is called Color Splash. The quilt will be called Color Splash. And it is a quilt that has a lot of applique on it. And that was a bit scary because I don't do a lot of applique. But I thought, give it a try. So I am. And I'm really pleased with this first effort on this quilt. Now, when I say first effort, that's not completely true. I have done a little bit of applique in the past. But this is a whole quilt of the majority of it is applique. So, as I said, this is the first panel, and I love the colors in it. This was a kit as well for the class that we bought. It's an expensive class, but there's a lot of fabrics in it. There's something like 21 or 20 and a half meters of fabric in this kit. That, when combined with the class, is costing me about $450 Canadian. So, yeah, expensive. But I think it's going to be well worth it for the final product. Now, if you take a look here at my quilt, and I'll see if I can, or not my quilt, my block, see if I can blow up my stitching just a little bit more. You see I did a blanket stitch, and I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. Yeah, there's a couple of little areas where I might have gone off the line, so to speak. But, when the overall quilt is done and it's quilted, no one's going to really notice those. And I think that happens to everybody that does applique. Now, although the thread is kind of showing up as white that I use for the applique, it is not white. It is a variegated thread that has golds and greens and reds in it. And I chose that thread because I didn't want to keep swapping out colors of thread as I was doing this applique. I mean, I could have, but it would have taken a lot longer. I mean, I could have used a red here, a blue here, a purple here, a yellowy gold here, etc. But I didn't. And that's okay because, again, once this is in the entire quilt, you won't really notice the stitching, I don't think. But I was surprised. It was very easy to do. Although there were a lot of pieces, it really, once I got going, once I got them all tacked down with steamosine, and it's raw edge applique, and because they're batiks, they don't fray, so that's a good thing. Also, you don't need any stabilizer underneath when you're doing all the blanket stitching because batiks tend to be a little thicker, a little heavier. And this happens to be batik on batik, so yeah, that worked out well too. So I'm really thrilled right now with this first piece. I hope I continue to be thrilled as time goes on and I do the other blocks as they come each month up with this. So that's called Color Splash. If you're looking for the pattern for this quilt, I went looking for it. The only way you seem to be able to get it is if you actually take a class, a Block of the Month class. From various places. But you can find a kit. Well, sorry, that's not true. You don't have to take a class, but to get the pattern, you have to buy a kit. It comes from Wilmington, and they're a distributor. They're a wholesale distributor, I believe, to retail stores. So you'd have to go to your local quilt shop and look for it or find one online. Okay, the other project I'm working on is in pieces still. Actually, this picture's a little old because I had this class yesterday. This is an in-person class, again, with Donna at Ultimate Sewing. And this is the One Block Wonder panel. And as you know, you chop up basically 6 panels that are all the same. There's a way to line them all up. You cut strips of fabric from them, and then you cut the strips into these 60-degree triangles that are about 3.5 inches in size. And then they will create 6 of these pieces will create a hexagon. So you sew half of the 6 in each set together to create almost a kaleidoscope pattern. And then you sew the other half, the other 3 together, but you don't put the two sets together yet as a whole hexagon. That comes once you lay out your whole panel. And then, well, it's really kind of confusing to explain. So let me just say this. The end result, I think, will be worth it. This has been tedious, and I'm still sewing little triangles together. You can see there in my box how many I have. I got in the class yesterday, that's all I did through the whole class, was sew these together. And I still have a few more to sew together. And then the fun part comes when I can lay it all out on my design board. And this is a pattern that you have to sew from your design board. And yesterday at the class, one of the ladies in the class was at the point where she could start laying things out on her design board. And she spent the whole time rearranging pieces, getting it the way she wanted it. And that whole time, we started at 10, we ended at 4. And through that whole time, that's how long it took her to get it to the way she wanted it. My suggestion is, before you start laying it out on your design board, have a couple of glasses of wine, lay it out, look at it. If you're not happy with it, have another glass or two of wine. Eventually, you're going to love it if you have enough wine. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. So I'll show you what I mean about sewing all the little triangles together and how you decide how you're going to put them together. I've got a little clip here I'm going to insert that will show you that. So you've seen the pictures that I've shown so far of all the little bits and pieces that I have cut for the One Block Wonder panel quilt. And I had to cut a lot of 60-degree triangles out of strips of the 6 panels that I'm using in this. There's actually 7, but 6 are what you cut. And you end up with 6 of these triangles that you've cut all at once. So now you have to determine what your layout is going to look like in terms of 3 of these triangles to create a pattern. So you can see if I lay them out all the same way, I have sort of this kaleidoscope pattern at the tip. That's not bad, but why don't we try one of the other patterns that you can make out of this? And there's another one. And that's not bad either, kind of like that, the swirls in the center. But I've already determined that on this particular set of triangles, I like this design the best, with the blue coming up through all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew these triangles together. And the way you do that is you just match up the edges, the raw edges, just like that, and just sew. So you can see there aren't any Y seams involved in this, although you're sewing triangles. And then what I'm going to do, when I get this seam sewn, I'm going to take it over to my iron, and I have an iron set up right behind me, very conveniently, and I'm going to press the seams open. So I'm just going to finger press it here so you can see what this looks like. So you see I have my seam pressed open. Now normally I would take it over to the iron and do this, but for the sake of this demo, I'm just doing finger press. I'm going to take my next triangle, make sure I have it lined up properly, and just do exactly the same thing. So we get this lined up. It's a little fiddly. And so the edges of this together. And I'm using my standard 1/4 inch seam allowance, nothing special here. And again, I'll take it, I will open up my seams. I'm just finger pressing again right now. I will do this with the iron. And there you have it. There is 1/2 of a hexagon all sewn up. Now I'll do the same with the other 3 pieces in this set, but I will not sew these 2 pieces together to create the complete hexagon because, according to the instructions, you need to lay these out and decide where they're going to go with the one panel you haven't cut up, and then you can start sewing them together. But you'll be sewing them all in straight lines, in strips, so there aren't any Y-seams. So I thought I'd show you this part of the process for making this quilt. Not difficult to do, but a lot of pieces to sew together. So I'll keep you abreast of this project because it's a little different than any other thing I've ever done before. And I'm still in Christmas mode, making some more Christmas things. I think it was on Juju Designs, these files for making in the hoop, machine embroidered Christmas stockings. They're actually really fast to do. And once you've picked out the fabrics you want to use for this, it takes you maybe half an hour to stitch them out. You can customize them. You can put whatever you want across the cuff. I put just Merry Christmas because these are going to be, I don't know who's going to get these yet. I'm intending to fill them with little goodies and give them as gifts at Christmas. And I've made now, that's 2 of them, but I have made 4. And I think I want to make about 10, maybe even 12. So I have to get back onto work with that. But as I said, they don't take long to do, and they're fully lined inside, and everything is done in the hoop, including all the stitching of the pieces together. All you have to do is turn them right sides out when you've got them done, and you're finished. So yeah, it's a cool design, and it's by Juju Design. So if you're into machine embroidery, you might want to check this out. This is the largest size, by the way. It's hard to tell the size here, the way I have them laid out, but they're okay. They're not huge, but they're sort of in between huge and tiny. Okay, so that takes me to what's happened and what's new and everything like that. Well, I have decided to start something as an experiment. I mentioned this yesterday on my vlog, but I'm talking about it here. I hate sewing alone. I really do. It's one reason why I enjoy classes, either in person or on Zoom. I find that when I'm sewing with other people, I get a lot done. I get an energy rush, I guess, from being with other people, and my creativity peaks as well. I guess it's because I see what other people are doing and it inspires me. But either way, I don't like sewing alone. I do it. I usually have YouTube on or my podcasts on in the background, but there I sit for hours on end down here in my sewing room sewing away. I really enjoy when we have craft and chat. I really enjoy pop-up sew days. So I thought, I wonder if I could create a permanent, never expires Zoom link. So whenever I am working here alone, other people could tap in who want to join me, and maybe they don't like sewing alone either. So I have established I don't know what you want to call it, a reoccurring Zoom link. That Zoom link does not have a time expiry. So no date expiry, no time expiry. When I'm working here in my sewing room alone and I want company, I will activate that. And I have put the link to that in the show notes below. And some of you got it in an email yesterday. I sent it out to those of you that are on my Craft and Chat and Pop-Up Sew Day mailing lists. And by the way, if you want to be on those, just send me an email. Email address is in the show notes, and I'll be more than happy to add you to those mailing lists. But anyways, here's how it'll work, or how I think it'll work. When I am here alone and I'm going to be sewing for several hours or whatever, I will activate the Zoom link. And if you click on that Zoom link, I will let you in, and away we go. If you click on it and I don't answer within a minute, okay, then you know I'm not online. I'm doing something else. When will I do this? I have no idea. When the mood hits me. So you may have to try it. So if you've got some time one day and you're there sewing alone and you'd like some company, then try the link and see if I'm available. I wish there was a way that I could let you know. A little light would go off or something and say, yeah, he's online here. But I don't know of any way to do that. Um, and because it's going to be, whenever I feel like it, quite frankly, um, there's no way that I can give you a schedule for this. So it's kind of a hit and miss, maybe. But I will let you know one little tip, one little thing. I'm thinking tomorrow's going to be a sew day for me. Um, Monday was no good. So if you tried it on Monday, those of you that already got the invitation or the email about it, I'm sorry, I wasn't there because I was at class all day. I'm not going to be available today because I have a couple of appointments that I have to attend to. So I'm really probably not going to get any sewing in today. But tomorrow's pretty much free, and I have a lot of sewing to do and get caught up on. So I'm thinking that I will have that activated for most of the day tomorrow. And I'll probably start it, well, I get up pretty early in the morning. I usually get up, well, lately I've been waking up at about a little bit before 6 o'clock. And once I'm awake, I'm awake. So I pull myself out of bed, get cleaned up, and come down to my sewing room, look after my emails and things like that, and then start sewing. So I could have this up and on going at as early as 7 o'clock my time, Eastern Standard. So, just check during the day when you're deciding you want to sew for a little while or whatever and you want company, just click the link. We'll see how that works out this way. It is an experiment. I'm kind of calling it sewing on demand, but I don't know if that's the right name for it, because really, you never know when I'm going to be here. Okay, so the link for that is in the show notes. Okay, and I believe I called that link, let me check. I called it sew/craft with me, the Idiot Quilter. Okay, and the link is there for you. Okay, so we'll see what happens. All right, what else? Okay, so I got a new ruler. Let me see if I can find a picture of this bad boy. It's right here. Just give me a second. Here we go. Okay, let's get it up here on screen for you to see. So this is called, it's by Creative Grids. It's called the Big Easy Quilt Ruler. It's 12.5 inches wide by 24.5 inches long. I think they just came out with it. And as I look at this advertisement for it, that's a good price, $47.99 on sale. Yeah, I didn't pay that, and I believe that's probably, well, Creative Grids is a company in the U.S., so that would be American price. I paid $67 at Ultimate Sewing for this. Now, do I need another ruler? Well, no, but Donna convinced me to get this one. She's an enabler, Donna. And it made sense because I do have a 12.5 inch square ruler. I actually have a 20.5 inch square ruler as well. But that's great for squares. But what if you've got like width of fabric, folded in half salvage to salvage? And there may be times when you need something that is as big as 12.5 inches wide. This would make short work of it. So that's why I bought this ruler. I invested in it. Do I need another ruler, as I just said? No, I don't. But this one, I think I will get my money back with it. So, where can you get one of these? Well, Creative Grids site, as I'm showing here, but I'm sure that your local quilt store may have them in. I think it's relatively new. So you might be interested in investing in something like that. Okay, so that takes me to something else I have taken up. Now, this is something I used to do many, many years ago. My grandmother taught me how to do this when I was young. Crochet. Yeah. And I got pretty good at crocheting back and then. That was one of my chief crafting outlets. That was before I got into scrapbooking, before I got into paper crafts, way before I got into what I'm doing now with quilting. Back when I was a teenager, I crocheted. I crocheted when I was in university. I made a couple of Afghans, and I gave those away as gifts. I had one on my bed that I had made when I was in university in my dorm room. And I got really so proficient in it, and this is patting myself on the back, and I don't know how I did this. I used to make doilies. Okay, yeah, old lady doilies. Sorry, Nana doilies. Got to stop using that term, old lady. Okay, and I got some very elaborate ones. And those of you who crochet and use crochet cotton, okay, you know how fine crochet cotton is when you're making a doily. And I made some elaborate ones. There's something called the pineapple design. I did that. And I still have that doily. It's upstairs, sits on top of my old 1930s radio that came from my grandparents' place under that. And I was really good at it. Yeah. And then I stopped doing it. I don't know why I stopped doing it. Maybe I lost interest in it. Life happened. My tastes changed. I don't know. So, for some reason, I decided to start this again. Now, I don't know if I'm going to keep to it, but the reason is lately I have so many quilting projects that you feel overwhelmed. And I'm sure most of you can relate to that. You need something to clear your palate. And it helps, I think, if you have another craft or hobby that you're interested in, and you go and you do that for a little while. And I think that helps refresh you and brings you back to what your main endeavors are, and and spurs you on. And that's what I'm trying this for. Also, I waste a lot of time, or I feel I waste a lot of time laying on the couch watching TV. Now, I'm trying to break myself of the habit of taking my afternoon nap where I lay on the couch, put on a documentary, and promptly fall asleep while it's on. Um, and I feel I'm wasting that time. Now, I watch documentaries. Okay, you're going to find this funny. I watch documentaries because I feel that then it's not a waste of time. I'm learning something. Okay, but when you're half asleep, are you really learning anything? So I thought maybe to get over that anxiety that I'm wasting time, if I was doing something productive that I could watch TV while I'm doing it, crocheting might be the way to go. I don't like to hand sew. I hate hand sewing. I'm horrible at it. And I can't really do anything else that's related to quilting while watching TV. I can't split my attention that way. But with crocheting, it's like memory muscle. It's coming back to me, how to do it. So I've just been doing a few little granny squares at the moment just to get myself back into it. It's amazing now. When I was doing crocheting before, you had to learn from a book. Now you just flip on YouTube and, how do I do a double crochet again? Bang, there's a video about that, which is really nice. So will I stick with it? I don't know. I bought a huge ball of cheap yarn and I bought a cheap embroidery hook at Walmart because I'm not sure I'm going to stick with this. We'll see. We'll see. If I do stick with it, then I'll invest in better things, maybe in better patterns, and that kind of thing. But my first love is quilting. So yeah, this is just supplemental. Okay, so I do have a demo this week, and it's related to what I was saying about that Creative Grids large ruler. I call this Confessions of a Ruler Slut. And basically, I got thinking, how many rulers do I own? A lot. A lot. When I first got into quilting, I bought every ruler I could possibly find. I have learned since then that you don't need all of those rulers. And then, of course, there's the specialty rulers, which are one-offs many times. So I have created a separate video, An Idiot Quilter Presents Confessions of a Ruler Slut. And here's a little teaser to that video. Expensive. It adds up over time, and it seems like a bit of a waste of money if you're not going to use the ruler. So what is my suggestion for for not becoming a ruler slut. If you're just starting out, buy yourself 2 or 3 standard rulers. I would recommend 24 inches long, and I would recommend no less than 6.5, probably 8 inches in width. So the link for that is in the show notes below as well. Okay, so that takes me to subscribers quilt of the week. This comes from Doug from Oz. I call him Doug from Oz, Australia, because I've asked him for his last name many times, and he never gives it to me. But he and his wife are amazing machine embroiderers. And Doug just recently worked on and finished the Christmas tree skirt from Juju Designs that I bought some time ago and have not even begun yet. So here's what Doug has done. This week's quilt from a subscriber is from Doug, who lives in Australia. And Doug does a lot of machine embroidery as well, and so does his wife. And he is working on something that I haven't yet begun, and that is the skirt, the Christmas skirt. Now, this is a large project, and you can see here he has a picture of his laid out as he's been working on it. And he says, watching you recently, and you said a recent purchase was a Juju Christmas tree skirt. I have done the same. I've just finished all the embroidery panels. There's about 5 days involved. Center panels times 15 takes 2 to 3 hours each, depending on how many stitches in each panel, and applique panels it requires. I've done them on a string row, so I'm not rehooping individual panels. A bit of work setting up the files, but worth it for continual embroidery. Keeps waste to a minimum. So yeah, Doug, I can see the process that you're going through here, and it is pretty involved. I haven't started mine yet, but I'm going to very soon. And this just in, Doug sent me a picture after I put this little video clip together of his almost finished tree skirt, and it is absolutely lovely, and I think I've got to get working on mine real soon. And that takes me to the YouTube of the week. This one I stumbled upon by accident. I haven't really studied it in great detail yet, but what I have seen I find very favorable, so I will be tuning into it to watch more of the videos that are on this YouTube channel, and it is called Pieces, Love, and Quilting. This week's YouTube video is called Pieces, Love, and Quilting, and this is by someone who's relatively new to making YouTube videos, and she only has about 308 subscribers, and you know how I like to promote those YouTube content creators that are just getting started. And this is Courtney, and Courtney you probably are familiar with if you follow the guy who sews, who I've reviewed his YouTube channel before as well. And Courtney is a friend of Sean's, and they get together on a regular basis and do sort of a collab or a quilt along or sew along, whatever you want to call it. But if you take a look at her YouTube channel, Pieces, Love, and Quilting, you will see that she doesn't have a lot of videos yet, but that's constantly growing. If we take a look at some of the titles, she has a works in progress party with friends, so she does some live YouTube videos. She has vintage texture, test patterns. She has foundation paper piecing. Yeah, and she's got, well, for someone who's just started, I take it back, she's got quite a few videos up as well. She's a very clever and creative quilter, I have found, and I have learned several tips and tricks from her as well. So if you want something and that is interesting, informative, and you want to support a new content creator, then I would strongly suggest that you go and visit Pieces, Love, and Quilting. So this week's pattern on my vision board is actually another kit, and this is one that I picked up at K&A Quilting Studio in Ingersoll, Ontario, when Walter and I went on our big fabric haul London trip. And this one caught my eye because of the colors. It has a southwestern feel to it, and it's called Desert Sunrise, and it's by Hedgehog Quilts. This week's pattern for my vision board is actually another kit. I've been doing a lot of kits lately, and this one is a kit called Desert Sunrise that I bought at K&A Quilt Studios when I was on my London Fabric Haul trip. And I think it was the colors of this that really grabbed my interest. It's got great fall colors. It is that southwestern color pattern, and this is a panel with some very interesting border treatments. And when I saw it, it just for some reason called out to me. This is a pattern by Hedgehog Quilting Designs. And as I said, I did buy it at K&A Quilt Studios, but you can see that when I'm showing this to you, they are out of stock of the kit. But you can still get the pattern either from K&A Studio or just do a search or go to the Hedgehog Quilting Studios, and I think you'll find it there as well. So I'm looking forward to doing this sometime in the near future. I think it's going to have to wait though until I've got all my Christmas things done, and then I'll begin this one. So yeah, check this one out. It may be something you'd really like to do. Now, you will also find this week on my channel, I have uploaded an interview that I completed about a week ago with a really interesting and very talented quilter and a male on top of it all. And the name of this gentleman is Kendall Taylor. You may know him. He's out and about. He has a website called Quilting Basics. He has a store as well. He is Australian. And you know, I love all things Australian, including the people. So I did an interview with Kendall, and it was great. He was a little nervous about this interview, but I think he got over that after the first 5 or 10 minutes. So here's a little teaser to that interview. Oh, let's talk about your tools. Do you have well, what do you use for sewing machine? What do you have for sewing machine to start
I've
with?
got a Janome 6600
Yep, great machine.
that I bought like I think right before the M7 came out. So instead of the original 6,000 price tag, I paid 1.5 for it.
Oh, okay. Got it for a
And
good price.
yeah, and prior to that, I was just still using like a Sewist 500 or something, which was also a Janome, but very like in comparison.
Yeah.
I took this one in to be so I have to get it serviced twice a year because of the amount of sewing I do.
Have any now? You say you have a long arm. So what do you have for long arm?
Well, because I was limited on space and I knew that it was going to have to go in, I just have a Moxie on an 8 foot
Yeah.
frame.
Yep.
But I just, in my own self, I've never actually been able to or enjoyed sitting at the machine quilting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even though, like with this newer machine, I obviously could.
Yeah.
And I have a really old Elna that belonged to my grandma,
Oh, okay.
which was perfect actually for the free like darning.
Yep.
But
So the link to the interview with Kendall Taylor is in the show notes below. Check it out. And that takes me to online quilt stores. And this week is one called the Quilt Kitchen. This one was one on my list of ones to visit when we went to London, Ontario area, but we never got there. But here is their online store and my review of that. This week's quilt store online is called the Quilt Kitchen, and this is in Exeter, Ontario. And we did not get to this one. It was on our list, but we didn't get there when we did our London fabric shopping haul. So let's take a look at their website. This is their home page, the Quilt Kitchen, and they have something a little bit about them, how it all began. Exeter, Ontario is their location, their mission, their vision. And now they have their featured products. And get inspired, they have a gallery of different creations, and at the bottom of the page they show you how to get to their location. So far so good. So let's drop into their shop and see what they have to choose from. So their layout is here: books, kitchen gadgets, quilts for sale. Interesting, they have kitchen gadgets. We'll come back to that. Thread, pre-cut fabric, kits, notions, patterns, Kitchen again on categorized events miscellaneous. Hmm, I don't see fabric except in pre-cut fabric. So that's a little different. Do I have everything up here? Let's see. It looks like I do. All right. So let's go to the pre-cut fabric then. Okay. So they have a selection of bundles, charm squares, flannel. Seem to have a lot of flannel. Fat quarter bundles. Yeah, they have a fair amount in pre-cuts. They have 4 pages. Let's pop right to the end. Okay. I wouldn't say that there was a lot to choose from. Let's see. I've gone to 60 products, so let's see if this covers pretty much everything that they have. Christmas Essentials, Dear Stella, Cosmic Sea. Um, yeah, it's not a bad selection. The fabrics are not my style, not my taste, but for other people, I'm sure there's something here for you to choose from. Price-wise, they look about average. And here's the second page. Okay, selection's not bad, but as I said, it's all pre-cut. So let's go back to the shop. And just for by chance, in case I missed everything, I'll do the show 60 products and see if this changes. And it doesn't. Okay, so I'm a little disappointed here. It doesn't look like they sell yardage. Let's take a look at their thread selection. Now they have some pre-wound bobbins and they have an Aurifil club. But it doesn't look like they sell thread by the spool. Okay, let's go back to shop. Kits. Says there's 37 kits. Okay, let's again drop this down so we can get as many on a page as possible. It's taking a bit to load up here. Okay. Lots of table runners. Quilt kits. Embroidery kits. Yeah, a lot of small projects here. Pillows, wall hangings. Some seasonal ones as well. I'm not that impressed by the selection. It's a little bit limited, I think. But there might be something here for you if you're looking. Okay. So far, I have to say I'm not particularly impressed by this store. There doesn't really seem to be that much. Let's check out Notions. Okay, rulers, pressing solutions, sewing tools, scissors. Yeah, not a lot here either. I suspect this is a really small family-owned store. Exeter, where they're located, is not a very big place, so this may be, one of the reasons. Okay, I'm curious. Kitchen gadgets. Snack bags, and an oven mitt. Okay, not much there to choose from. Now, they'd had another one that said kitchen, and it only has 3 items as well. And pretty much it's the same thing, except they also have tea towels. Okay, those are expensive tea towels. 1998? I mean, I don't buy tea towels that often, so I'm not really sure, but large assortment of colors and that. 100% linen. What color you would like. You have to specify. So yeah, that's an expensive tea towel, I guess. Okay, yeah, not really doing it for me. I'm sorry to say. Okay, uncategorized. What would that be? Soft Spot book by Martingale. Okay, let's go back and let's check miscellaneous. And it's gift certificates. Again, not impressed. I mean, it's easy to negotiate their website, the way everything's classified, but there's just not that much in each one. And again, I have to go back to the fact that they don't seem to have fabric, except for pre-cut kits or pre-cut fabrics. So these are quilts for sale. Okay, they have 4 quilts for sale. Not really doing it for me. Again, I'm sorry, it's just not. Okay, let's check out their classes and see what they have. Fat Quarter Club, another club. Binding class. This would be, I've seen this one. This is one that was on the Quilt Show. Color My World So Long on Zoom or in class. Okay, so they have an option there. That's good. Home for Christmas Table Runner, Japanese Rice Bag, Jelly Roll Rug. That's been done to death. Monthly Table Runner class. Yeah, not a lot here to choose from in classes. Does look like they do some of them online as a Zoom. And and then they have one that's on YouTube as well, the binding class. Okay, that is that. Social. What do they have under social? Connect with us on Facebook. Okay. They have a Facebook page. And it looks like this is a bit of a blog. Okay. Anything I've missed? I don't think so. Let's just go back in the shop and make sure. Patterns. I don't think I checked patterns. Not expecting much because it says there's 3. Yeah. Color My World, Jelly Roll Rug, Rose Star Quilt. Okay, so that's the Quilt Kitchen. I guess I'm really not that disappointed that I didn't make it to their store. Maybe there's more in the store. It's a possibility. I don't know. But overall, yeah, I don't think for one, will be coming back to their website because there's really nothing here for me that I can see, and the selection is very limited. Sorry, but I calls it as I sees it. Now, I hope you don't think I'm being cruel when I say my honest opinion based upon those websites that I get for various online quilting stores. They may be better as a store to visit in person. So I have found that. Some stores don't have a really great presence online, but the shop itself is wonderful. So I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm just being honest about my impressions, which are solely based, in most cases, on whatever I see on the internet. Just thought you'd like to know that. I don't mean to be cruel and negative about someone's business. Okay, so what's coming up? Well, the retreat. Okay, so here's an update on the retreat. Registration is now open. Right to this date, right now, when I'm making this video, I have 52 people who are registered. That's just over half of the number of spots that I have. I have about 92 spots available. So if you're still trying to make up your mind whether you're going to join us at the retreat or not, you need to make up your mind really quick because I think this is going to fill up very quickly. It's on October the 22nd. You know that. There's a video I've put out already explaining all the details about registration and what's to be expected. Everything is in place for it now. All I need is for you to register, and away we go. There will be prizes, and it is free. Let me remind you of that. There's no catch here. It is absolutely free, and it's a good time. for all. So I hope you'll be able to register and join us. And if by chance life happens after you've registered and you then figure out that you can't come, that is okay. Just drop me a line. I won't hate you. Okay, much. Uh, but that does open up a spot for somebody else if I have a waiting list. At the moment, there are still about 40 spots available, but every day I'm getting more and more people registering for it. So if you snooze, you lose. Okay, so that's it for me today. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a great week. I hope you've got your mojo going at high speed for creating things. And yeah, check out when you're sewing away and you want some company, check out the link for that. We'll see you next week. Bye bye for now.